Hello and welcome to Yoga with Michelle. Today we're going to be going over Chaturanga Dandasana tutorial, or your low push-up. So Chaturanga is a posture that you will see in most vinyasa practices along with Ashtanga. I know for my own personal practice it took me a little bit of time to get the correct mechanics because there's a lot involved. It might look simple, but and it will be once you get the hang of it, but it does take a little bit of practice to get all of the components. So in this tutorial, I'll be going over common mistakes that you might see in Chaturanga that I have seen as an instructor, and maybe I've been guilty of them myself, and then ways to help build up the strength. Now, the purpose of this is, so Chaturanga is actually a posture, but a lot of people use it as a transition to go into up dog. Rather, it is indeed a posture, so it is important to hold Chaturanga. A few things to be aware of is Chaturanga Dandasana. It means four-limbed staff pose. So you want, you guessed it, 4 points of contact. 2 for your hands and 2 for your feet. Now, sometimes you'll see people doing Chaturanga with their feet together touching at the back, but that kind of creates more of 3 point. So what you want to do is separate your feet hip width distance, or if you're doing on your knees, again, hip width distance, because you really want to create those 4 points of contact. Now what Chaturanga is, it is a push-up, and then you're going into a back extension. So I'm going to demonstrate the first level to build the strength up into your Chaturanga. So first, you come into your high plank position. So we talked about our hand position with our Bakasana and our handstand practice. You want all 4 points of your palms connected, spread your fingers really wide, and then grip the mat with your fingertips. Hands are shoulder width distance. So the first variation is you got your 4 points of contact. You're really strong through the core and through your plank, and you lower all the way to the belly. Now, if you notice, my elbows are pretty close to my body, and then you come into your low cobra, pressing into the tops of the feet, maybe lifting the palms here. Now, some people you might see doing a high cobra where they're kind of like this. So it's a deeper bit of a back bend, but that is after you've lowered down onto the ground. Now, as far as your elbow placement, I have heard some people say, you keep, I'm going to turn this way, you keep your elbows really close and glued into your side. But what that can do is, I read an article a few years ago, is that it can actually over-rotate your shoulder in an unhealthy way and can cause damage. Nor do you want your hands to be, or your elbows to be winged out. You want sort of a nice neutral posture. So you see there's a little bit of space here in between my arms and my side, but they're still pretty close into my side. Now for the Chaturanga, you want 90 degrees here. So I don't know if you can see, but my elbow is at 90 degrees. Both elbows, arms again, are close to the body. I'm not squeezing. I'm not also bowing out. I'm kind of at this nice neutral position. So we're going to start on our knees with our Chaturanga. And I do have a block here. Again, you can use a block, 2 blocks, or some books. A lot of people use this just to kind of gauge where their chest should be. So again, hands are spread, shoulder width. You are on your knees to start, to lower down. So either you do the full lower down, like we did, nice and slow, or you're here in this modified plank position. Now, if you notice, from my knees all the way to the crown of my head is one straight line. I'm not lifting my bottom, and I'm also not sagging here. So you gaze slightly forward, take a breath in, and then that slight inward rotation, you lower down. Now here, I'm just resting on the block, but as you notice, I have that 90-degree angle with my arms. Now I can really press here and work the hands, or I can lean my body against that. So if you want to practice with a block, that just kind of gets your body more into the idea of that 90-degree position with your hands. So really what we're doing is we're trying to create muscle memory. So the more you do this, the more you practice, the more you'll be able to do it really strong, really solid, time after time after time. So the first two options, you can be in your high plank and you lower all the way to the belly. Again, those elbows are pretty close. Or you come into your modified plank, really strong through the core, slight inward rotation through the elbows, and then you lower that partway position. Now I am going to take off my sweater so you can see a little bit better of the arm position. You can see a little bit more of a contrast here. So again, the arms, they're not super squeezed, they're also not out, but there is a slight inward rotation and lifting up. Now, as far as the shoulders, you want them away from the ears, not locking back, because what that does is it unnecessarily opens through the chest. So everything is nice and neutral. So we'll try that again with that modified variation. Inhale, exhale, lower. And then you might inhale into your upward facing dog variation. Again, you don't want to open up too much here. You actually want to have a slight forward rotation with your shoulders. Now, you want to keep practicing. That builds your strength in your shoulders, your biceps, your triceps, as well as your core stabilizing muscles. Something that I have seen that apparently was taught years ago, I will demonstrate the wrong version. Please do not do this version. I've seen a lot of people do what's called the dolphin dive or the swoop. Again, skipping chaturanga as a posture and going straight into up dog. So they kind of poke their butt up, they dolphin dive like this and swoop up. Now already, just doing that one time, it did not feel good in my shoulder and my rotator cuff. Years ago, people were teaching the dolphin dive. What that does is it actually over time wears and tears on your rotator cuff, and you might have to have rotator cuff surgery. They actually used to call it yoga shoulder because a lot of yogis would do this dolphin dive. Now there is a different posture, which I'll demonstrate just briefly to show the difference. It's called knees, chest, and chin, but it still has the precision and the strength of your Chaturanga Dandasana. So knees, chest, and chin, here in that plank, you come to your knees, you go to chest and chin, and you're holding, and then before you lift up, you lengthen back out. So we're not going to do knees, chest, and chin. We're going to skip the dolphin dive. Now, once you've practiced, you built up your strength. You can even do some tricep dips. You might want to even do some chaturanga push-ups. The modified version, again, here is you lower part way, nice and solid, and press up. You can keep practicing that. Once you build up your strength, you can go to the full chaturanga. Now, this can be a lot on the wrists, so, maybe you need to pause the video, practice, figure out what level you're on. So the full Chaturanga Dandasana. So again, four-limbed staff pose. Think of it almost like mountain pose, where everything is really active and on. So you want to lift up your kneecaps, engage your quadriceps, engage your core. You're pushing the ground away in a super strong plank, but you're breathing and maybe smiling as well. So let's get into our plank position. Find your palms, extend the legs back. Now from here, I'm in my strong plank. Everything is engaged. I'm engaging my kneecaps, so my quadriceps are on fire. I hinge forward slightly, so you're not pressing the heels back. You notice I'm hinging forward. Inhale, exhale, and I hold. And then I inhale to upward facing dog. So there is a definite hold. Again, not that transition. So as you're flowing through your sun salutation, that is what you're going to do. So we'll go through one sun salutation with the modification, then one sun salutation with the full chaturanga, and then maybe eventually into a jump back. That will be a separate video. So you stand at the top of your mat, inhale, breathe in, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, you halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, and you step back into your modified high plank. Take a breath in as you exhale, lower part leg. Inhale, lift up, and then exhale, downward facing dog or your child's pose. Now the full Chaturanga. Inhale, mountain pose, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, step back into your high plank. Hinge forward, inhale, exhale, lower part way. Inhale, upward facing dog, and then exhale, down dog or your child's pose. Now you can do Chaturanga push-ups. However, I would advise that you be really strong and solid in your modified before you go on. So sometimes you might see people do one of these. What you don't want to do is you don't want to sort of wave the body, because that puts, again, undue stress on the shoulders, undue stress on the low back. So one more time, super solid, Chaturanga Dandasana. Come into your high plank, inhale, exhale part way, 90 degrees, inhale, upward facing, and then exhale into your child's pose. All right, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Keep practicing, build up that strength, and I'll see you next time.